Yo, and we are live. Mark, what it do, homie?
Man, I'm good. It's a lot happening, man. A lot of good things happening right now.
Yeah,
So I'm just like, man, I'm just ready to get into it, man. It's We got a lot to get to, but it's a lot of good things, man. A lot of good things to talk about. So.
a lot of good things, man. A lot of good things. Yo, first of all, thank you all who's watching tonight. Shout out to Facebook Live. Shout out to YouTube. Shout out to Blackjack TV channel 199 and Mile High Radio. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. We got the vibes going on. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about the Super Bowl last night. We're going to talk about the GOAT Brady. We're going to talk about some hip hop stuff. We're going to talk about some trade rumors. We have a lot that we want to dive into. So shout out to the guys, shout out to Murr, shout out to Stacks, shout out to Becca, shout out to Tina, shout out to all our viewers out there. Yo, I think I shout out everybody, man. And shout out to you,
Yeah,
Mark,
yeah,
for
yeah,
popping on.
definitely, definitely,
So,
man.
yo, let's dive into it, homie. Without further ado, man, let's get into that Brady GOAT talk, man. Let's talk about the Super Bowl from last night, man.
Absolutely.
After what happened last night, is he the undisputed champ right now, man? Is he the undisputed GOAT? Hands down, no more conversation.
Yeah,
What?
I think you got. I think you have to call him that. He went to a whole nother conference, different team. And it was a lot of the same players from last year's team. Not all, right? I mean, it was a little bit of turnover, but not by much. And
Mm-hmm.
that team, it just showed you that that team needed a leader, right?
Yeah.
Not to talk bad about Jameis Winston or anything like that. I'm like, man, I'm like, the guy has some talent, but he wasn't a leader. And that's what they needed. They needed a leader. And they got a leader and was just like, look, I'm going to take y'all where y'all need to go. I done been here before. They believed in them and they were able to get it done, man. So I'm just like, Tom Brady, I don't know how you can't say he's not the GOAT. Like I'm real confused when people say, nah. I'm like, well, how many championships does he have to lead a team to for him to be it? What does he have to win? 10, 15? What are we talking
Right.
about, man? Come on.
Right. Right.
He's got
Right.
7, you know what I'm saying? And he was the leader of those guys and he got it done. He got it done with a whole nother team. I don't see how you can't call him the GOAT. Sorry.
Absolutely. I think now, man, I mean, you made some valid points, but I think right now it's time to kill the noise about Brady not being a GOAT. At the end of the day, you gotta kill that noise. I think you gotta also kill the noise about Patrick Mahomes being the GOAT right now. I mean,
Yeah.
he's not even better than some of the greats like Brett Favre. I'm just naming some top of my head right now because we're talking
Yeah.
about some of those guys tonight.
Yeah.
He hasn't surpassed Drew Brees. He hasn't surpassed Peyton Manning. He hasn't surpassed definitely Aaron Rodgers. So I mean, there's so many other great quarterbacks he hasn't surpassed. I think we were like more of a prisoner of the moment. You know what I mean with
Mhm.
Mahomes because Mahomes. I mean, hell, the guy until last night, he's never lost this bad. He's never
Yeah.
not thrown a touchdown in the
Right.
league in his whole career. And that's major. You know what I mean? So I think now you got to kind of let's pump the brakes a little bit, let the kid breathe. He's going to be great. He's going to be great.
Yeah.
But as far as him being a GOAT and catching Brady, it's it's a wrap.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Stacks. The argument is clear. It's over.
Yeah.
It's not even a discussion anymore, to be honest.
And I think it's kind of like with Patrick Mahomes, he will be there,
Mm-hmm.
someday if he keeps playing the way he's playing. He just ran
Yeah.
to a buzzsaw last night.
What up,
Tampa
Becca?
was ready. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, and we understand that. But I'm just like, if he keeps doing what he's doing, right? You know what I'm saying. Andy Reid, he just kind of
Yeah.
it's like he went back to old Eagles Andy Reid coaching. You
Right,
know what I'm
right,
saying? That's
right,
what it looked like to me. But
right,
he
right,
will be there. I'm just like, and guys, this is good for him because he's going through adversity, right? You seen Kobe,
right.
the
Absolutely.
late great Kobe Bryant go through adversity. You see
Right.
LeBron James go through adversity. So I'm just like, this is the adversity for Patrick Mahomes. He will be back, and
Right.
we want to just see, how the kid, comes back from this, and if he can come
Yeah.
back and win it. That's all.
Absolutely. Absolutely. His story is still being written. You know what I mean? This is
Yep.
nothing to frown on. I mean, you're going against one of the greatest of all time. Todd Bowles called an excellent defense. In my opinion, Todd Bowles was the MVP last night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
clearly
agree.
the MVP. I saw a stat that said that Mahomes ran for like 500 yards scrambling. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this is the tracker that they use for someone to punt return or kick return, and he ran for 500 yards scrambling. They had
Right.
him on a pursuit the entire night. Todd Bowles definitely is the MVP. Byron Leftwich, he's a co-MVP because
Hmm.
for Byron Leftwich to get Brady to play in a system that Brady's not accustomed to, making
Hmm.
Brady, square his feet up to get the ball down the field when it's needed, dump and dive. That's you got to give credit to them guys, man. That's great leadership for him,
Yeah.
who Brady was once his peer, to get him to
Right.
concede to a winning formula that actually worked for them. So it's a great thing to see. I'm happy for Tom Brady. I'm happy for Todd Bowles. I'm happy for Byron Leftwich. That entire diversity that they have on that staff.
Right.
Tip my hat to those guys, man. They did an awesome job last night.
Yeah, man. Excellent job. And the thing is,
Indeed,
though,
Stacks.
I love the way that the Bucks mixed up the run in the pass. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? That is how you
yeah,
get it done. You don't
yeah,
let a quarterback throw for 50 or 60 times. Nah, we're gonna
yeah,
mix it up. So I'm like Tom Brady was throwing, then they had Big Lenny,
yeah,
motoring downhill. And when you get to the
yeah.
second half and Big Lenny's running at you, it's not much you can do. You know what I mean? The Chiefs
Not
found that
much.
out last night. They switched up the pace, you know what I'm saying, with the other back, and they
Yep,
were able to get something done right there. So I'm just like,
yep,
man, it was just a great game plan. Tampa,
yep.
just seemed ready. They just seemed prepared,
Yeah, they did.
for what they
Yeah.
needed to do, and they were able to go out and execute, and they executed very well.
Absolutely. I know Merv was upset this morning when I tagged him. Merv, the debate is over. Montana is a great quarterback, taking nothing away from him, but
Right.
there's only one goat on that hill. It's not even a debate no more. It's done. You got Jordan for the NBA and you got Tom Brady for the NFL. It's a wrap. I mean, so Mark, I want to ask you, man, about this halftime show. So I
Oh,
want to get into that talk real quick. I know you enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure you was in your living room shaking a tail feather. I know you were shaking a tail feather to that
man.
that performance, man. What are your thoughts on that performance?
I'm gonna say like this, right? Here's my thing. I think the weekend does good music. I like a lot of his music, but he's
Yeah,
not a performer. And that's the difference. I think, when it's the Super Bowl, right? And you've seen the
yeah,
acts that were great during the Super Bowl, right?
yeah,
And I'm like, they were performers, they had everybody involved. I understand it's like the weekend wanted to kind of do his own thing. I think who was ever in charge of,
yeah.
putting this together, I think, they gave the weekend full autonomy to do whatever he wanted to do.
It
And that
did.
kind of was a mistake.
It did.
It's just like, yo, what? Listen, weekend, look, I understand what you want to do, but guess what? He has a lot of nice songs with other artists. So I'm just
Right,
like the fact that those other artists weren't involved, right? And like I said, he's a good singer, right? He has good music, but he's not a performer, right?
right.
This is where you could have brought some of those other acts in, and he has big
Exactly.
records with a whole bunch of people from all
Exactly.
kind of genres. I'm like, they could have made that really an amazing show. The fact that he did it by himself, I'm just like, if you're going to do a show like that by yourself, listen, Weekend.
Yeah.
You're good, but you have to be at the Michael Jackson level of performing if you're going to do a show
Facts.
by yourself, or Prince or somebody like that.
Absolutely.
He's just not at that level. You know what I'm saying? And that's no disrespect. It's just like, man, most people can't even get to that level.
That's
So
true. That's
that's
true.
that's
So
probably my problem with the whole thing. And the show was just, you know what I'm saying?
right.
And that's just how I took it.
I agree with you, man. Like I know we were texting last night, like, yo, this ain't no 7 mil. Yeah, I mean, this is
Nah,
definitely not 7 mil. You wasted money, homeboy. I mean, you know what? I can't say he wasted money because you're on the biggest stage for everyone to see. You know what I'm saying? So that 7 mil is gonna pay
right.
for whatever streams he got from last night's show because you got
Yeah.
a whole different audience. It's
Mm-hmm.
across the world. You know what I mean? Super Bowl is one of the most watched sports games ever. I mean, anytime you get a chance to get on that big stage, you got to perform. It's going to be like residuals that come after that, right? So that 7 mil, he's going to get that back, maybe
Oh,
double
absolutely.
time. But
Yeah.
as far as the performance, it was very underwhelming, very
Yeah.
underwhelming. Right, Stacks and I was the same wavelength tonight.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
very
Right.
underwhelming. For 7 mil, for him, I think he's from Canada, right? Correct
Yeah,
me if I'm
yeah.
wrong. He's from Canada. You could have give 4 mil to Drake. You know what I mean? Like let Drizzy come out there and do his thing, do his 1-2 step. You could have get some other guys from Canada to come out there and just make it something big for for the nation. So it was underwhelming in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm like, he has songs with Drake. He
Right,
has songs, you know what I mean, with that OVO camp. He has songs
right,
with some of the biggest stars in the world. I'm just like,
right,
man, I was just
right.
like, oh, they could have did all of that.
They could have.
I would say like this. In NFL, I'm gonna tell you something. Don't give anybody full autonomy to do their own thing, with the
Right,
halftime show, right?
right,
I'm like, listen, if you're not at the Prince level or the Michael Jackson level, with the which
right.
the Weeknd is not, and that's no
Not even
disrespect to him,
close.
right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm like, you're
No.
not there. I'm like, listen, you're not gonna, just be like, I'm calling my own shots.
Right,
No, you know what I mean, you're not the go to this thing, so you do not get to call your own shots.
right. You
We're
can't.
just not
Right.
going to do it.
Right. And that's the thing, like, even watching what he was doing, I was like, yo, this guy's all over the place. You know what I mean? And he was
Hmm.
playing some good songs, some songs people recognize, people know. But it just, when you think about the Super Bowl halftime shows, you have some great shows in the past, right? And
Yeah,
the biggest thing for those shows with a surprise guest is who you're going to bring on stage. When you go to a
absolutely.
concert, you're thinking about, okay, I'm at this concert, I'm here to see this guy. But I also want to see if he's going to bring out some surprise guests. You know
Right,
what I mean? You want that
absolutely,
shock and awe, like,
absolutely.
yo, he brought homeboy out.
Yeah,
He was kind of waiting to see if the weekend will bring anybody out. You give 7 mil to Beyonce, and I'm not a Beehive fan. I'm not one of the Beehive or whatever. You get that 7 mil to Beyonce, you're going to get you a show. You're going to get your money's worth and more. You know what I mean? You
mhm,
get that to a performer, like you said, a performer, a true performer. You're
yeah,
going to get something really good out of that. I think that 7 mil again, that was a personal hit for him. It had nothing to do with the show. It had more so to do with him putting himself in a situation and say, you know what, I'm gonna get more streams. I'm gonna pay for it, but I'm gonna get it double time. That's just how I
yeah,
took it.
yeah. I feel you. I mean, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that,
So let's dive into these commercials, man.
man.
Um, to me, another underwhelming output
Yeah,
was the
very.
commercials.
I'm,
What
I'm gonna put. I'm gonna
commercial?
say very, very, very. Like you see how Stack said very underwhelming. I'm gonna put about
Yeah,
five berries on top of that. That's
yeah,
how terrible the commercials were.
terrible, terrible.
Yeah.
Was there any commercial that stood out to you?
Shoot. I would say like that. My favorite was the Drake State Farm commercial. To be honest,
Yeah, yeah,
I thought that was kind of funny, because Drake kind of walks in and he's saying the lines, and the State Farm guy had to, yo, look, you like the fill-in guy, man. You know what I mean? I'm the
right,
star here, and Drake's kind of looking like confused, like I'm Drake
right,
though. You know what I'm saying?
right.
I'm
Drizzy,
supposed
right,
to get the line, right?
right,
So
right,
I just
right,
think that I was just like, I like that commercial. Um, it's a couple others that were like okay, but I just wasn't really feeling,
right,
the commercials like that. I thought the commercials just were not,
right.
they were not on point. I thought the Tracy Morgan one was pretty good. You know what I'm saying? But then he
Mhm.
had like three more, and I'm like, all right,
Yeah,
but you're doing the same thing in the commercials. Like,
right,
we only needed one. We didn't need three or
right,
four. So that kind of pushed that like commercial performance down.
right.
And then the rest of them were kind of like,
Man,
you
yeah,
know, yeah, you were just kind of
yeah.
like that. Like, I'm not impressed.
I was disappointed, man. I think, again, you go back to the halftime show, you underwhelming, right? Then you go and you watch the commercials, and most people watch the Super Bowl really like people who are not into football, they watch Super Bowl for the commercials,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And to me, just the level of commercials that we saw was like, that wasn't a good
Yeah,
one. That was a good one.
yeah,
I think that to me, I love the trailers because Marvel had a chance to introduce the Falcon and
mhm,
Winter Soldier trailer.
yeah,
That was a
absolutely.
good spot. I honestly like what they did with Vince Lombardi. They did the Vince
But yeah,
Lombardi mural.
that was
I thought
good.
that
That
was
was
that was
good.
dope. That was dope.
Yeah,
I give
definitely that.
them credit for
Definitely that.
that. Other than that, I can't even think of a commercial that really stands out. Even the Michael B. Jordan commercial was kind of semi corny. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it was. It had a little moment, but it wasn't something that made me say, "Yo, this commercial is like, one of the best ones." I couldn't find a commercial, in my opinion, that was off the chart. So commercials were underwhelming in my opinion.
mhm,
Halftime show definitely was underwhelming. The weekend, I think my Wiz just put on there Beyonce, Bruno, Maroon 5 one year.
Yeah,
He's not going to compete with those performers. He just can't.
yeah,
So, I just feel like, hey,
yeah,
NFL, you learn from this. Hopefully, next year be a
yeah,
better situation. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. And the
So,
thing is, though, I'm gonna say like this one more thing. For the NFL, you can see all these people's live shows, right? What
right,
I'm saying? They're on
right,
YouTube, they're on the gram, they're on all platforms of social media. You can just look like, oh, who's a performer and who's
right.
not. You know what
And
I'm
who's not?
saying? Because
Right,
performance really actually comes first, and then how many songs you have comes second.
exactly,
So how
exactly.
it's just like, man, and just look, it's so many acts of who's who. You can go through pop, you can go through R&B, rap, whatever, and then
Hmm.
I'm saying, and you have to get this artist, be like, look, all these combinations you have with other artists, we need all of them there. And
Right,
if you do that, guess
right.
what? You end up with a great show.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So moving on from the Super Bowl, again, congratulations to the Tampa Bay Bucks. Congratulations to their fans. Congratulations to the GOAT, Tom Brady. The book is
Yeah.
closed. No more to talk about. No more to get into. It's a wrap. He's the GOAT. So let's talk about Brett Favre, man. Brett Favre comments.
Yeah.
The first time you heard the comments about Brett Favre, pretty much, it's an old saying, you never talk about another man's pocket.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on Brett Favre's comments, man? How
Well,
did that hit you?
I mean, here's my thing. I'm just like, first thing, I'm like, all right, even if you asked him what he thought, right? You're a former player. You've been through, I'm saying, we seen the mess that he went through with Green Bay, and then he eventually went to Minnesota. We seen
Yep.
all that play out, how they tried to pay him to retire, and we want Rodgers to take over, what I'm saying? But Brett Favre was still able to play high quality football at that time. I'm
Right.
just like, you've been through this. I'm just like, why would you even, you know what? Next question. I'm not even going to even address this, but the
Right.
fact that he did address it and was just like, yo, you basically, you need to just play, man, and let it play out or whatever. And I'm just
Right.
like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a
Right.
minute. You say this about the Deshaun Watson. You know what I'm saying? But Matt Stafford asked to be traded. He asked to be traded, right? Then told you, I'm not playing for the Patriots, right?
Right.
Now, no disrespect to Matt Stafford, because I'm like, I wouldn't want to play for the Patriots either, especially for if my former head coach just got fired, right?
Hmm.
Obviously, I don't want to be in the same building with him because look, it might be some animosity there, right? So I'm not
Exactly.
mad at Stafford,
Exactly.
but I'm just saying, if you're going to speak on Deshaun Watson being unhappy in his situation, speak on Brett Favre, speak on Matt Stafford, and speak on Carson Wentz. You know what I'm saying? Who's been lighting up the Eagles and the coach and the organization
Hmm.
for a year now. You know what I'm saying? And not even playing well. So, to do that, I'm just like, to me, I'm like, listen, don't single one person out when there's other
Hmm.
controversies going on at that same
Right.
position. You know what I'm saying? If you going to, hey, listen, put them all out there. You know what? I don't like what Watson's doing. I don't like what Stafford's doing. I don't like what Wentz is doing. Don't just single Watson out. You know what I'm saying? Because Watson
Right.
has been a model citizen and tried his best really to
Yes.
make the situation work. And every time they pretty much gave him their ass to kiss, you know what I'm saying? The organization, and we doing it our way, and we don't really care, you know what I mean, for what you talking about. And I mean, they've disrespected him in multiple turns. I was just
Absolutely.
like, man, so I'm like, if you're
Yeah.
watching, I'm like, listen, you know what? Enough is enough. That's it.
Absolutely. I agree, man. Like Stack said, Brett Favre is a hypocrite because, let's not act like he wasn't the one who was, got butthurt about being in Green Bay and Aaron
Yeah,
Rodgers started sending and, he went to the Jets and then he went to Minnesota to try to get back at Green Bay. So let's not act like, he hasn't been through some of the politics of the NBA as well. So for him to speak ill on Watson's situation and just, making it seem as if it's a privilege to be in NFL. And it is, at the end of the day, you're talented, you get a chance to play in the highest level of your profession. It is a great thing to be a part of. But at the same time, that mentality of, just accepting shit and just keep on moving, it's gone. We beyond that at this point.
yeah,
And that's for Watson. That's for any athlete out there who taking their career into their own hands, no matter what color they are. You know what I mean? So you can't pick, if you Brett Favre, you can't pick and choose who you want to make those comments on. Because to your point, Stafford did the same exact thing in the same week. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Nothing was said.
Yeah.
Even you go back and you look at some of the other, some of the other QBs like Eli Manning. You know how he
Mhm.
demanded, like, I'm not playing for the Chargers. You're going to send me to the Giants. You know what I mean? So you can't pick and choose who you want to fit. You know, who you want to put into that box and say this is what we should be doing. You shut your mouth and just get your money and play. You should never put those guys in that kind of situation. You can't pick and
Yeah.
choose. You know what I mean?
I
Um,
agree.
and that's the thing. And Stacks, you're right, man. I mean, unfortunately, if you look at the history of the NFL, right, it's almost clandestine to have, a black quarterback that plays the role like a Watson, who is a threat in the pocket just as much as he is on a run. You know what I mean? You saw that with Vic, when Vic was ascending. You saw that,
Mhm.
of course, going even further back, and you're looking at um, your boy back in the day,
Oh,
Cunningham,
Randy
Randall
Cunningham.
Cunningham,
Yeah. Mhm.
even Warren Moon. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So now you look at the NFL, and now some of the most successful quarterbacks are that of a darker hue. You got Patty Mahomes, my homeboy. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You got Watson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got
Kyler
Dak.
Murray.
I mean, you got old boy from the
Kyler.
Cardinals.
Yeah, you got
You got
Kyler
Russell.
Murray. Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Russell. Yep.
So
Hmm.
you got some prominent black quarterbacks right now that are lighting the league on fire. And they're
Yeah.
not even known for their scrambling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Running around and getting crazy yards like a running back that can throw. They're actually throwing the ball down the field. So
Yeah.
it's changing. And I know some of these more traditional levels of QBs, they're looking at this like, yo, these guys are really doing some great things out here. I don't know how to feel about it. I don't want to make it a racial thing, make it black or white thing, but it just seems that way because you got someone like Brett Favre who is respected in the NFL and in the QB locker rooms. For him to make those comments,
Yeah.
little weird. It's a little
Yeah.
weird.
And
Mm-hmm.
a little disheartening too. You know what I mean?
It
Because
is
I'm quite sure a
very
lot of these guys looked up to
facts,
Brett
sacks.
Favre, and Brett Favre, played the game, like a gunslinger. He didn't stand in the pocket. He moved like in his prime. He moved around.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He got out there. I'm quite sure a lot of these quarterbacks coming up now, man, looked up to Brett Favre and be like, yo, one day I want to be able to play football the way he plays it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I mean, come on, man. That's
Right.
weak. It's just weak.
That's very weak, very weak. So with that said, man, let's jump into that Wentz trade rumor. I know you
Right.
and I were talking about this yesterday offline. Got a lot of different things going on with the
Yeah.
Wentz potential trade. Got Sam Darnold conversations out there, but
Yeah.
let's start with the Wentz, man. I know it's kind of like up in the air still. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts? What are you hearing out there in Philly?
It's still multiple teams involved. I'm gonna tell you, it looks like a game of musical chairs, and
Yep.
everybody is trying to get a quarterback. And you know what? You know what I'm saying? No team wants to be left without one. You know,
Right.
um, and that's and really, I think the Stafford trade and the potential Watson trade, even though the Texans say that's dead right now, I think that really jumped everything off when you see what Stafford went for, right? And no disrespect to Stafford, I mean, but he's like
I agree,
32 years
Stacks.
old. You know what I mean? For he's like
Yep.
32 years old. He got multiple first round picks. He got another pick, and yeah, I mean they sent Jared Goff away, right?
Yep.
Now will that work out or not? We'll see. But
We'll
just
see.
the fact that you went for 3 picks in a player, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You got teams, I mean, and then you seen what they were asking for Watson. Like, look, we pretty
Yeah.
much want almost up to 8 players for him.
Eight
You know what I'm saying?
players.
If you look at
Right.
that, right? So the Eagles are like, yeah, wait a minute, hold up, wait a minute, we can jump
Right.
in this. You know what I mean? Because if
Right.
like you got to understand when the Eagles season ended, we were trying to figure out like, yo, like, man, we might have to stick around with Carson Wentz. You know what I'm saying? He had a bad season this year, but we might be stuck with him. Maybe nobody really even wants him like that. The Colts, we were like maybe, but we weren't really sure. But then once the Stafford trade and the Watson rumors heated up, that heated the whole landscape up, right?
It
And then
did.
once that
It did.
happened, teams are just like, man, we need a quarterback, right? We need a QB. And then that's when teams
Absolutely.
started getting involved because first it was really just the Colts. And really like the first rumors I heard is the Colts were like, yo, we might take it on. We might got a second round pick for you. You know what I mean? We're gonna have to split the money some way. Right now is
Mm-hmm.
for multiple picks And y'all mean y'all stuck with the cost. We ain't
Right.
stuck with nothing. So
Right.
I'm like, these are the offers that are coming in, and I think those, the Stafford trade kicked that off. And I'm just like, I mean, us in Philly, we're fine with it because it's just like, listen, Wentz, what I mean, for real, was a total diva, and he's kind of been that way, but he's played well. And usually when you're a diva but you play well, that kind of stuff gets swept under the rug. But when you don't play well, I mean, then all of it comes out. His relationship, with our former coach, what I'm saying, Doug Peterson, all that came out. Hey, listen, I'm not running no plays that Nick Foles did. I'm doing my own thing. I will call audibles at the line of scrimmage and not run nothing you talking about. And that's just total disrespect, what I'm saying,
It
to the
is.
coach. It's total disrespect. And I'm just like, you can't win that way if you eliminate a quarter of the playbook. You can't win that way. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
Right.
you know what? His time has just come, and we got to move on, man. Jalen Hurts came in there with the same offensive line, the same receivers, the same everything, and he proved that he could move the ball a lot better than Carson Wentz. So guess
Right.
what? You know what? Let's go with that guy because right now, today, he's better. You know what I'm saying? For the
Right.
future, I don't know, but I'm saying today, right now, he's better.
He's
And you
better.
got to
He's
go with
better.
the better guy.
I completely agree, man. Here's my thing. You know how I feel. I'm not an Eagles fan. You know I despise the Eagles, of course.
Absolutely. I mean,
I
as you
like
said.
you. I like you, but I don't like the Eagles. You know what I mean? So it's a difference. Um, but I do. Here's the thing. To everything you just mentioned about Wentz, that's going to make a lot of teams be very cautious because if you don't think for a second these coaches are going to reach out to Peterson to see exactly how he feel about Wentz, like behind the scenes, like tell us about this guy. If are we getting a good QB? You know what I mean? Is he coachable? That's going to be one of the first things other coaches are going to ask when they're doing their homework. And Peterson is going to be very blunt. He's going to be very honest. If there was an issue between him and um and Wentz at any cost, he's going to let his friend, coaches know. You know what I mean? And they're going to be like, yo, do we really want to give up a ransom to get Wentz? They know the Eagles need to get from under that contract. They know this because it has been public. They know that they need cap space. So I think that put the Eagles in a bond. But to your point, because franchises they still need a quarterback. You know what I mean? At any cost. If you get a
Yeah.
quarterback that has the stature of a Wentz, big guy, can throw the ball down the field. He's proven it. He was on the cusp of being the league MVP just a couple of years ago before he got
Mhm.
injured.
Yeah.
A GM going to look at that and say, you know what? That guy's still somewhere in there. We need to pull it out. And do
Yeah.
we have the system that can allow us to pull it out of him?
Yeah, and one more thing I'll say, on Wentz is that, like I said, all of this kind of drama started, and it really started,
Mm-hmm.
with the Super Bowl and Nick Foles, right? And he
Mm-hmm.
couldn't get from under that shadow, and he tried to do everything in his power to get from under that shadow, bad and good, and he couldn't get from under that shadow. And it's just like, he can't survive here. I mean, you got to understand when you walk in
Yo,
the Eagles
Stack,
locker room,
yo,
when you
Stack's
walk.
crazy, man.
Y'all need a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, y'all was trying to
Stack's
trade with
crazy.
us. Y'all was trying to trade with us for wins, boy. Shut up. You know what I'm saying? But
Yes, Stack's crazy.
anyway, man,
Yo,
look. But no, but seriously though, I'm gonna say like this. I'm gonna say like this. Seriously though, it's kind of like, you know, Nick Foles haunted this guy, and Doug Peterson wanted to still call all the plays, right?
right,
Even the plays that Foles ran that were successful. Wentz just wanted to get away from Foles and get away from this. He really needs
right,
to go somewhere else, and once he goes somewhere
right.
else, I think he'll be okay. You
I
know what
think
I'm saying?
so.
I don't think he'll pull what he pulled with the Eagles, but I'm just like, you just never know. You know what I'm saying? It's no coincidence that him and Ben Simmons, you know what I mean, for real, have hung out a
Facts,
few
Kyrie.
times. So I'm like, man, and both of them are divas. We all mean for it, but Doc Rivers seems to have Simmons under control and he has him playing better. And Wentz, he's going to have to get a new situation and hopefully he can play better.
I agree. I agree. I just, again, to your point, I think a change of scenery would do him all the good. It's tough to play in Philly, man, especially your quarterback. That's pressure.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely,
a different type of
absolutely.
pressure. You know what I mean? People always talk about playing in Green Bay as a quarterback is pressure because of the legacy there. Playing in Dallas, is a lot of pressure because of the spotlight. playing in the Eagles, man, playing in Philly as an Eagles quarterback. That's playing at any position in Philly. It's tough. It's tough,
Yeah,
especially when you're trying to live up to another quarterback that got the Eagles their only championship. That
yeah,
is a lot of pressure on a
yeah,
young quarterback who feels that they have to always do more than the
mhm,
person that got the championship when they were out. That's the
yeah,
worst thing that could have happened to Wentz in his career because he's not taking it well. He's not taking it like, yo, I still got me a ring. I got us there. He just, he just
yeah,
finished. He helped us push it over the top. So that's tough. That's tough to overcome. It's a psyche thing, man. So
yeah,
he may need
definitely.
to get up out of Philly.
And you know what? Let me ask you a question. Because I mean, since we're talking about this quarterback thing, we're transitioning here, right?
Yeah,
Dak Prescott, is probably on getting ready to come back, but they still have to
yeah.
address the contract issue.
Just
You know,
contract.
is do you think that Jerry and the management are seeing this musical chair of quarterbacks and be like, you know what, we got a quarterback right here. We might have not did right by him before the injury. We need to do right by him now, or they, what I'm saying? Like, what's your feeling on that whole situation, like up
Yeah.
to right now? Like, what are you thinking?
Man, I'm torn. I'm not gonna lie because I look. I'm the here. I'm a Cowboys fan, right? So my loyalty with the franchise, right? Because players come and go.
Right, absolutely.
I don't think Dallas. I don't think Jerry and Stephen Jones did too bad because if you think about it, they could have gave Dak a crazy contract that he couldn't play up to. You got to think about all of the
Mhm.
weapons they had to put around Dak. You know what I mean? Dak probably has one of the maybe top three receiving core in the league. And he hasn't done a lot with it. Now, don't get me wrong, he got injured last year, which I think that, if you look at those yards he was putting up crazy stats.
Yeah,
But we were
yeah,
still losing
definitely.
because the defense weren't doing anything. Dak needs weapons around him to be successful. I think he needs weapons on both sides of the ball. He needs it on the offensive side and the defensive side. You
Hmm.
put all of that money into him, you expect for him to take you to the promised land with the little bit that he has. You know what I mean? I don't think he's that kind of quarterback. Hell, Mahomes was considered the GOAT last week. And you see what happened when he don't have an offensive line. You know what I mean? He was out of two tackles, and you see what happened to him. So
Right.
think about that. The gap between Dak and Mahomes to me is large. You know what I mean? It's a big gap there. You put all that money in Dak, you don't have no money to pay nobody else.
Mhm.
Something's going to suffer. The defense is going to suffer. You may suffer some pieces on the offensive line. I think that Dallas did. They played their hand really tight. I think Dak played his hand really tight, and now we're at the standstill. Um, it's going to be who break first. Does Dallas break and just give him the money just to say, you know what, you got the money. We got to, we're doing it for the cause. That's it. Because it definitely won't be a good business decision in my opinion. Because you got to get rid of a lot of pieces if you give Dak the contract that him and his agent is looking for. That's hell. Look what happened to Philly. You guys gave Wentz that huge contract. Now look
Yeah.
at your salary cap. You're gonna lose pieces this year. You might lose one of the best tight ends in the league, Ertz, because of
Um.
this.
Well, yeah,
It's like some
he's going to be
casualties.
going.
Right,
He's going to be going. You know what I'm saying?
right.
You
Those
know.
are casualties. Right.
Yeah.
So
You
you
know.
gotta be careful with that. You gotta be careful
Yeah.
with that. And I don't hate Jerry for doing what he's doing. You gotta draw a line in the sand and try to fit them in what you can budget. People say, well,
Right.
Jerry don't want to pay him, he's a black quarterback. I don't agree with that. Because if you think about it, Mark, if the salary cap did not exist, some of these owners, they'll pay whatever they can pay to get a championship. Jerry's one of those guys. He will spend money to keep players in the winning championship. It's a salary cap, though. It's
Yeah.
definitely a salary cap.
Well, I mean,
Your stacks crazy, man. You
it,
got
it,
his
it,
stacks.
it's kind of like like if it wasn't no salary cap, it'd be like baseball. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
That
right.
guy Mike Trout got like close to 500 million. You know what I
Yeah,
mean for like 10 years, and this ain't no
right,
roster bonus stuff. No, that's guaranteed. So no matter what
right.
happens to him, they got to pay him. You know what I
They
mean?
got, they got dough,
So
right?
I just like man, but I just like we'll see what happens. Let's get to Sam Darnold real quick. His name has also come up because like if they
He's not
keep him,
Kyrie.
if they keep him, he's in a contract year, right?
Right.
So he really has like 1 year left. Then you actually have to pay him. You know what I'm saying? Now they just
Right.
hired a defensive coach, so I don't know if the defensive coach wants like I don't know if I really want this guy, right? And they got the number 2 pick in
Right.
the draft. But I'm gonna say like this: if he stays, that means they weren't feeling the kid from Ohio State, the quarterback from Ohio State, who's supposed to
Right.
be the
Justin
second
Fields.
best
Yeah.
quarterback. Yeah, they that means they weren't feeling Justin Fields. So if
Right.
they keep Sam Darnold and they still have the number 2 pick, guess what? They're gonna pick a defensive player because their coach came from San Francisco. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? He was one of the better defensive coordinators in the league. He's a
Yep.
defense first guy. I'm just like, man, they might go with a defensive player right all the way up in number 2.
Absolutely. I agree with you 1,000%. I mean, look, Sam Darnold got skills. Sam Darnold is a really good quarterback. He just needs some pieces. He need a good coaching. He need a good system around him.
Mm-hmm.
They got a good draft. Now, to your point, if you're not confident in Justin Fields, what are you going to get out of Justin Fields that you possibly can't get out of Sam Darnold? I I don't know if
Yeah,
it's a big jump. I really don't think it's a big jump, to be quite honest. You got to kind of build around that and see what you can get out of it.
yeah,
It
I
just
agree.
that's a tough spot for the Jets. They got to make the right decision. The wrong decision can set them back even farther. And
Yeah,
I think the AFC East is wide open right now. To be quite honest, they got to stay close to the AFC East because Miami's going to get better. There's a great chance. I hope they pick up that receiver from Alabama before you guys get him. So I'm really rooting for Miami to get that guy. I ain't go after that receiver. You know what I mean? So please, Miami, go after that receiver. But I think that if you think about it, bro, if the Jets make the wrong decision, it's going to set them back. Keep
right.
Sam Darnold, use that second pick to get a stud, and go from there. Hell, Washington did it. Washington went decades without a quarterback. You know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
built on defense. Now they got one of the best defensive linemen in the league, and that's Chase Young. And we got to
Well,
deal with him for years. We got
yeah.
to deal with him
Well,
for years.
well, I mean, they had 10 years of draft picks. I mean,
Copy
I
facts.
mean, they straight.
Yeah,
I
you
like
get
man.
you get a
Shit.
top 5 pick for what 10 years in a row. You bound to hit something. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, you can't be
go
wrong all the
Washington.
time.
Yeah, you bound to you get top
Right,
5 pick for 10 years in a row. You finally got Chase Young. You got something to work with. Finally,
right.
shout out to
Absolutely,
Stacks though.
absolutely.
Yo, so good NFL talk, man. A lot of stuff going in the NFL is to be continued. I think this week is going to start picking things up. We'll see. I
Hmm.
want to stay in Philly though, man. I want to talk about Lil Uzi Vision,
Oh,
man. So I want to talk
goodness,
about Lil Uzi Vision.
goodness,
yo,
man,
Philly, man, y'all need to get y'all dude, man. Yo, you got
man.
Uzi Vision, you got Meek Millie. I mean, yo,
Yeah,
yo,
I'm trying to tell you, it's looking real crazy. I mean, you got Uzi with the diamond in the middle of his head. You got me, doing a bunny hop on the tennis court. I didn't know what
yo,
that was about. You know what I'm saying?
yo.
I'm just like I'm gonna say like this, right? When I first seen it, and he was just like, this fool really got a diamond in his head, right? You know what I'm saying? So I was like, it looked crazy, and it was just like, yeah,
Yo,
this is like $24 million. I'm like, I don't think it's $24 million, but I was like, it's probably a couple million. I'm just like, listen, man. I'm like, yo, I'm trying to tell you, like, listen, I'm gonna say like this, right? Somebody's probably going to try something. They'll probably end
yeah,
up getting shot doing it. So
right, right,
me as
right.
as Mark, yeah, I mean coming to you from the vibes. Please do not try to snatch this boy diamond. He does not go around by himself. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like AR
Right.
Ab said, he keeps shooters with him. You are getting
Right.
shot. Okay, just
Right.
leave it alone. Freddie
Be
Gibbs,
careful.
leave it
Yeah.
alone. You know what I'm saying? If you want to
Yeah.
say, yeah, I mean, he looks silly and all, cool. But somebody gonna try to snatch that and somebody getting shot. You know what I
Yo,
mean? But it
real
looks
talk though.
ridiculous, though. It looks
I
so
know.
ridiculous. Only thing
It
I
looks
could do,
ridiculous.
only thing I thought of Thanos. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I could think about. You know what I mean? I thought Thanos
Yo.
was gonna snap his fingers or something. I didn't know.
Yo. And he's a small dude. He's like what 5'2",
Yeah,
5'3"?
like
You know what I
five
mean?
foot nothing. Yeah, I got
5'4". But to your point, it's not him. It's the shooters. Like, yo, don't
you,
get it
man.
twisted. He looks weird, man, but he got some shooters around him. And you run up on this kid and think you're going to just snatch that diamond out of his head, man.
Nah.
You're gonna you're gonna catch a couple of bullets, man. So to your point, be mindful how you run up on guys like that
Yeah,
because he looks goofy with it. But
yeah.
I just want to see somebody like put it on camera, man. Just snatch him up like Thanos and just take the joint out of his head on camera, man. I just want to see that happen. I really want to see that happen, man. Like I
Yo,
really want to see it.
seriously, I'm
Um,
just like,
you,
man.
you got to be careful out there, though, man. Like that shit looks wild.
Yeah,
So, yo,
it looks
Philly,
crazy.
stand up. Like, Philly, stand up. yo, Philly, stand up,
Oh
man.
man, it's rough. It's rough.
No,
It's
facts,
rough
facts,
out here for us.
facts,
It's rough out here for us, man.
facts, facts.
Seriously.
So Mark, I want to dive into the main course, man. We got about 20, 25 more minutes, man. I want to dive into the main course. For those of you who watching right now, man, we every week we have, we have our setups, we have the appetizers, some of the desserts, but we have a main course. And tonight's main course was more around the Complex magazine posted a really respectable list of the top rappers of each year, going back to 1979. Now we're not going, for the sake of time, we're not going to go through every single year for 30 years, but we want to touch on some of the ones that we felt were like really some good ones. I mean, this was a pretty good list. I
Yeah,
wish I could put the list up on the screen for everyone to see, but I posted it in our group earlier
yeah,
today with
yeah.
regards to just for anyone who was into that to kind of see exactly what that list looked like. So Mark, let's go back and forth. Let's do some back and forth sparring, man. And
Nah.
Stacks, if you out there, if you want to hop on, man, please feel free to. I know there's some things out there you saw that caught your attention as well. Same thing for you, Kyrie. If you're still watching, man, if you want to hop on, just let us know, man. You can hop on and tell us what you think about that list as well. But Mark, man, this was probably one of the better lists that I've seen in a long
Yeah,
time, man.
I'm actually
So
surprised. I thought we were going to get
yeah,
some Joe. I thought we was going to get some Joe Button foolery with Complex. Yeah,
yeah,
I know he was a part of Complex for a while. You know what I'm saying,
yeah.
or anything like that. But I'm gonna say like this. I thought the list was pretty good. A couple things, jumped out at me, and the one thing that really jumped out at me right from the start was 91, and Q-Tip was the best rapper. I'm just Q-Tip has never been the best. Nobody's ever considered him the best in any year. I'm just
I
like,
think the
man, I was
list.
just like, because my thing is, I'm like, during that time, like, I mean, like what you heard was like, yo, man, Tretch the best out there. You know what I mean? Scarface, was coming up with the Ghetto Boys. Yo, yeah, Scarface, super nice. I know it was a little East Coast bias, especially, all the way back then. But I'm just like, yo, come on, man. Yo, like Q-Tip. I mean, nah, man. Yeah, nah, but
I
no
I
Q-Tip,
can't
no.
be mad at that though, man. I can't be mad at Q-Tip because I do think that 91 Q-Tip was the go-to in 91. You know what I mean? You think about just the influence that he had, not just from lyrics, but I'm talking about just overall. Q-Tip was that go-to guy. He was in the industry by that time, really heavy. Um, I can't argue with that, but I can respect the fact that you're right. Tip, the thing about Q-Tip is you got to respect Q-Tip from a global perspective in hip hop, right? I'm talking about every facet, from production, rhymes,
Yeah, he
everything.
did a
You know what I
lot. He
mean?
did a lot. I give him
Total
that.
package. The total package is Q-Tip back in '91. I respect that. One of the ones, so Q-Tip is your highlight in your first round. My
Mhm.
first round highlight would be, honestly, man, 1980, man. If I'm going back over it, I'm going back to the essence of just hip hop, period. And just being able to see Curtis Blow on there and getting that respect. I was happy to see Curtis Blow being respected at that level because I don't think we talk about Curtis Blow enough in hip hop. And here's why.
I agree.
Curtis Blow was like the original, to me, was one of the original godfathers of hip hop. Anytime you have Run coming up under you, as calling you the big homie, you know what I mean, of the hip hop game, that's major. You have to go back and watch Crush Groove to appreciate, what Curtis Blow has done. I remember when I was a youngin', I remember I used to wear like a hat and I put like a towel under my hat like I had curls. Like I was rapping like Curtis Blow. You know what I mean? He's always wearing a hat like the
Right,
curls
right,
sticking
right,
out.
right. Yeah,
I
yeah,
used to be
yeah,
rapping
yeah.
like Curtis Blow, but everybody used to rap like Curtis Blow back in the day, man. Like if you think about it, that's when it started transitioning because it went from the hippity hop to Curtis Blow. Curtis Blow is a pioneer. He's a legend. He doesn't get. I don't think we speak on Curtis Blow enough. Um, but he's definitely. I was glad to see him on there for 1980.
Yeah, that was nice, man. That was
Yeah,
nice, man. Uh, yeah. I'm gonna say like this. It's a lot of them that I agree with, though.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
seeing seeing Snoop for '93. That was the start of Death Row. Everybody knows. I think Death Row, was my favorite music label of all time. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, because everything that came out of Death Row, was great. I mean, they just had an incredible run, and Snoop was all the way at the top of that list for them. And I just think about what he did on the Chronic, and then he did his own album, you know what I mean, Doggy Style after that. Doggy Style is probably, Chronic and Doggy Style probably, two of my favorite albums of all time.
Right.
So respect the Snoop, man. You know what I'm saying? Because Death Row, just was the shit, and he was the shit on it, and I loved it. I can't take that away because I couldn't stop playing neither one of those albums. When I first got
So,
my hands on the Chronic, I played it all day, every day.
oh, definitely, definitely. That year, I'm looking at the list right now. 93, they had Method Man and Tretch and Q-Tip as honorable mentions.
Yeah,
That's pretty
and that's
heavy.
heavy.
That's heavy. And as
That's
much as I
heavy.
love Wu, Wu is my first love.
Yeah,
Method Man was heavy 93, but to your point, Doggy Style was just different, man. Doggy Style
yeah.
was one of those albums you had to sneak, you had to sneak around because from the album cover, I mean, just from the raunchiness in the music, you couldn't
Yo,
just play that in a house and just, like it's wide open. You had to like really sneak off
I'm,
and then listen to Doggy
I
Style.
mean, people got to understand how crazy this was. They really tried to get that album banned. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, it
facts,
was
facts.
heavy political pressure to get that album banned. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
that's how crazy it was. And that's how, at the height of it, they really tried to get, that album banned. And it was that album, that got Death Row in hot water. You know what I'm saying? Because they were being handled by Tom Warner. And if you walk, if you never, for anybody who's never seen the Welcome to Death Row documentary, I suggest, you go and watch it
yes,
right after
yes,
this show. I mean, that was just, that was an incredible story,
yes,
told from start to finish.
yes.
But I'm just
Yes.
like, man, that the height of that, I've never seen anything like that, come about. I know Easy and them caught it, from NWA because it was new, but you know what I'm saying, the fast forward with Death Row, I'm just like, man, to
Yeah.
have the political pressure that they faced was
It's
insane because
crazy.
you had high profile politicians really trying to take this
Right.
thing out,
Trying to take
or
them out.
or take
Right.
over the money. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which we learned later. You know what I mean? With C. Dolores Tucker and all of that. So I mean, it was just crazy, man. But that 93, 94 right in there, that was some prime hip hop right there.
That
Prime
was
hip
Snoop.
hop.
Now 95 stood out to me as well because that was the year Biggie got
Mhm.
selected. And I think
Right.
that was I don't think you can really debate that because Big, Ready to Die took over like it brought because again, you gotta think about it, 93, by that time, the West Coast was killing it because I think
Yeah.
Ice
Absolutely.
Cube had 1990, Q-Tip 91, 92. I think you could have gave really 92, you could have gave that to Drake. I think they picked for 92,
Redman. They
they
had
picked
Redman.
Redman in 92. I can respect that, but I would think that Dre would have gotten 92. You know what
Okay.
I mean? Even Snoop could have gotten 92 because of his work on the Chronic. But then you go to 95 and you got Big. And the
Hmm.
honorable mention there was Raekwon, Prodigy, and Tupac.
Hmm.
That's a heavy list because I told somebody
Yeah.
before, if you go back, I remember when they were saying that Prodigy was one of the greatest of all time during that time. And Prodigy was dropping crazy lyrics. When you're talking
Yeah.
about like 95, Prodigy was like in the conversation of yo,
Yeah.
this is he's the one. He was in that conversation.
I'm telling.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
And,
95,
and,
but
and
95 was
I'm like,
big
man,
shit.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
95 was a
It's
big
crazy,
year.
man, because I'm like, even when you look back and you look back to some of these lists, and then you're just like, yo, this dude, like, this guy was like the man at one point, and they just for real, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, Prodigy was like the man. You know, I'm like in a few years before that, you know, Tretch was like the man, like you know what I'm saying.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm just like, you know, like even though like when you look at those greatest of all time lists and all of that, and these guys might not end up in anybody's top five or top 10, but they certainly held their own when they were in their prime.
They
And you
did.
gotta respect these guys for
You got to.
holding it down like that. You know what I'm
You
saying?
got to.
So
You
I
got to.
respect that, man.
96 was crazy too because they gave it to Tupac. And the honorable
Oh,
mentions, 96 honorable mentions were Biggie,
yeah,
Nas, and Jay.
yeah, crazy.
That is a crazy
Yeah,
that's a crazy list within itself. To me, 96, I can understand why they gave it to Pac because that was the year I think Pac had dropped. If I'm not mistaken, that was Tupac is not the GOAT.
yeah. And
So
I'm gonna get into that in 1 second. I'm gonna get into that in
that's
1 second.
90. So 96, All Eyes on Me,
Yeah,
and the
that's
Don
the
the
start
Seventh Day
of Death
Theory.
Row. The start
Yep,
of Death Row.
that came out. That's why. I mean, you talk about 96. You got 96. You had Pop, All Eyes on Me. You had Nas, It Was Written. You had Jay had dropped. I think
Reasonable doubt.
was Reasonable
Reasonable doubt.
Doubt, right?
Hmm.
Reasonable Doubt. And you had Big, who was just coming off of Ready to Die. Because keep in
And
mind,
he was,
Ready to Die came out in the
yeah.
remixes. Remember?
And
Like
then you got to think, Big, you know what I mean, for it was all over that mixtape circuit. Goodness, you know what I mean?
yes, yes.
We played the big mixtape shit more than we played the album. That's how
Facts.
crazy that
That's
was.
how crazy it
You know what I'm
was.
saying?
That's how crazy.
You
I
know,
told somebody before, if you go back and listen to Ready to Die, the first Ready to Die, like the first, like the blue label was like gritty. It was
yeah.
grimy,
Hmm.
grungy. Puffy went back in the studio, cleaned it up a little bit, and you come out with the One More Chance remix. I mean, you had all of these joints, man, where it was like, yo, Biggie is he's
Yeah,
killing it. Like it's
yeah.
commercial in a way, but it's still street. Like it was a perfect blend. But
I'm gonna
Pac
tell
came
you,
out 96. Pac was crazy in
man.
96. You
But
can't
here's the
front.
thing. I'm gonna say this about Pac, right? I'm gonna say this
Fast
about
Kyrie,
Pac.
Easy More B. Easy
Easy
More B.
Mobility, yeah, you
Absolutely.
got that. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say this about Pac right now. Before Death Row, I'm trying to tell you, we weren't really rocking a lot of his stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, we weren't riding around playing Brenda's Got a Baby. That ain't
No.
getting no play in the ride.
Oh,
You
I
know what I
get
mean?
around.
Trap ain't getting no play in the ride. Holla, what's
No.
the joint? Holla if you hear me, ain't getting no play
No.
in the ride.
It didn't get no play.
We ain't playing like when Pac got with Death Row, that's when y'all mean everybody was just like, yo, Pac the man. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? But I mean, before
Absolutely.
that though, I'm like, yo, because that's when, you know what I'm saying, the All Eyes on Me, Ambitions as a Rider, you know what I mean?
Right.
You know,
Right.
Bring the Pain. That, you know, that's when all that stuff came out. And then after that, Machiavelli
Right.
and Until the End of
Right.
Time changes, all yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
You can't
that
see
pre,
me. Can't
yeah.
see me.
Right.
Yo.
I'm saying, but
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, don't tell me about no Pac before '96 because
Right.
we ain't really bang with it. We ain't
Not at
rock
all.
that. We ain't
Not at
rock
all.
that. Yo,
Not at
I
all.
never heard like, yo, man. Nobody ever told me when I got in the car, yo, Mark, throw on that Brenda's Got a Baby. We gonna hit him, you know what I
Yo.
mean? When we roll up on the scene with that. Nobody's ever told me that. I've
Yo.
never
Facts.
heard it.
Stacks.
I probably would have kicked him out my car. I
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
would
You
have
got to
kicked
get
him out
up.
my
Yeah.
car. I know it was a
Yeah.
hoopty. I'd have kicked him right out. You
Right.
can walk.
Right. Right.
Some mess
Right.
like that. You can walk. How about that?
Yo. Like Stack said, Death Row brought the animal out of Pop. They did.
Yeah.
When he got to jail, he was hungry. I mean, they
Oh,
gave
me
him the
too,
beats
man.
that
Me
he
too,
needed.
Kyrie. Me too.
They gave him everything he needed. And they were like, yo, go in the booth and just get crazy. And he just got crazy. But you got to think about, like you said, Mark, earlier, how before, pre-death
Yeah.
row, you're talking about Pop was going up against some of the best at that time. You know what I mean? You got to think about this. 94 was Illmatic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even with Illmatic, because they gave that to Nas in '94, you also got to think about Wu. Wu
Yeah.
was just, although Wu came out '93, I don't think people caught on to Wu until like '94. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's when Wu started really getting into a groove where people had to
Mhm.
go back and listen to Into the 36. I was one of those people went back and listened to Into the 36. Listened to, I've always been on Method Man to Cal, but that made you go
Mhm.
back and listen to Into the 36. It made you go listen to Return of the 36 ODB joint that came out in 94. So anybody who
Yeah,
knows me know Wu-Tang is like, you can't tell I wasn't the 10th member or the 11th member of Wu-Tang. I was that was my group. So during that time, Wu was locking shit down. Like I don't care where you were, who you was, locking shit
yeah,
down. And every member in the group, you was anticipating them coming out with something during that time. So Pop
yeah.
couldn't breathe during that time. But when he came out with Death
Man,
Row and he had a
yeah,
crew and had good production and had
right,
direction, whoo,
right, right,
man.
right. Yeah,
True.
I'm saying. Now I'm gonna
Facts,
tell you,
Kyrie.
I'm gonna
Facts.
tell
You
you,
had to
you
go
know,
back and listen to Reasonable
I
Doubt.
mean,
Absolutely.
now we gonna fast forward this real quick. I mean, run
Yeah.
up to '98
Yeah.
when DMX came out. Listen,
Uh,
I'm gonna say like this: DMX when he came out, I'm like, yo, this got to be some of the hardest shit I'd ever heard. I'm like, DMX was not playing no games when he came out. Now I'm gonna tell you my favorite DMX moment, right? You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't him, it was the song. And I know you remember this. Mike Tyson come out for the fight with all three belts, and he's coming out to the DMX intro. If that ain't solidified, y'all mean DMX being, y'all I'm saying, as
yes.
hard as nails. I don't know what
Yes.
it did because Mike, he looked serious. He just came back from
Yes.
jail. He was ready to kill somebody, and he's
Yes.
coming into DMX. I'm like,
Yo.
I was like, yo, this person Mike fighting going to die. Somebody's dying in
Yes.
the ring tonight. That's what I
Yes.
thought.
Absolutely. Mark, remember I told you the story about my mom's neon? You know what I mean? Yo, my mom had the black neon. I was bumping on, I was bumping X in the black neon, man.
Right.
Yo, I went to Radio Shack and bought like some Sony 10s, putting the joints in the back. No equalizer, just straight rawness. It
Yeah,
was like,
exactly.
yo,
Yeah.
going through Walmart parking lot, playing that joint loud in the neon. yo,
Right.
it was X time, man. X was definitely taking
Yeah.
over, man. I went to boot
Yeah.
camp in October of '98, so I went like on the heels of like on the back end of X in '98. When I
Right.
came out of boot camp, he had already dropped the second album. You know what I mean? So it was like, yo,
Yeah.
'98 was X year.
And
I saw
yeah, and
something on the Rough Riders doc, and I know
mhm,
Stacks probably don't like that, but Def Jam was saved by DMX because Jay wasn't dropping enough. His music wasn't strong enough to get the numbers that they needed. That's why X ended up dropping 2 albums in 1 year. I thought he was just dropping the album just because he had the material, but Def Jam went back to him and said, "Yo, can you drop another album on the back in the fourth quarter because we
mhm.
need your album sales to keep us afloat." I never knew that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
yeah, I heard that.
he dropped "It's Dark and Hell Is Hot" in the first quarter, came back around in the fourth quarter and dropped "Flesh of My Flesh" just to keep Def Jam going. And that was when they had Jay-Z on the roster, Redman and Method Man on the roster. But he
Yeah.
saved Def Jam, man.
Yeah, and here's the thing, you know what I'm saying? Jay, and no disrespect to Jay, but Jay really didn't get in his bag. You know what I mean? Until Philly came, you know what I mean, for real. And then all of a
Right.
sudden Jay rode that wave because one thing, you know what I'm saying, and Jay,
Sorry,
like
Stacks.
they got him for 99, you know what I'm saying, and in 2000, you know what I mean, Blueprint, all that, you know what I mean, came after
Yeah.
that. But you gotta think like the thing with Jay is that you know what I mean? A lot of people said this. They were just like, yo, because he talked from a level of a boss, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of flew over people's head. You
Sorry,
know what I'm
Stacks.
saying? That kind of flew over people's head.
Yeah.
All right, like I get what you're saying, but you know what I'm saying? I remember Bean saying this. He was just like, yeah, we relate more to the workers, the guy, we on the corner and doing the shenat and all that. So he's like, man, we like Jay because he could rhyme, but it was just like, yo,
Yeah.
we that kind of talk flew over our head because we didn't
Right.
see it from that aspect when we was doing what we was doing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then
Right.
once you get with Jay, he'll give you the understanding of how that came about, you know what I mean? And then you able to move with them. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Which state property and all them guys did, man. But I'm just like, man, but Jay kind of came on the aftermath of all that really hard shit. You know what I'm saying? DMX and Pac and Biggie and all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And then he kind of,
Facts,
for
facts.
him to his guys. You know what I mean? So I was
Right,
just like, man, like you see how Jay slid into his lane, and he was able to ride that, and
right,
that's what it was.
right. So, because you think about, like you said, '99, that's when Hard Knock Life hit.
Hmm.
And Hard Knock Life was the thing that put Jay into that stratosphere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Without Hard Knock Life, I don't know if we would have gotten Jay to get into that stratosphere. Because you got to think, Reasonable Doubt, it became a classic later on.
Yeah,
It
later
wasn't
on.
the,
And
you
Kyrie
know,
said that. Kyrie
yeah,
said that. Yeah.
you had to go back and revisit Reasonable Doubt to appreciate Reasonable Doubt. Because then
Right.
he dropped In My Lifetime,
Yeah.
which was he had Sunshine on there. And
Yeah.
I know Stacks loves Sunshine. I'm not a fan of Sunshine. But you know what I mean? But you can't be Jay and you put Sunshine on the record. But that didn't really do much. And it was a solid album, but it wasn't on the level of what was coming out during that time as well. Because you got to think about during that time, you had Big. Big had just, I think Big had just passed away, if I'm not mistaken, when Sunshine dropped, because that's when they were going, that's when Dame Dash and Jay was using the Puff Daddy formula. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Even
Yeah.
the Sunshine video, they were wearing shiny suits. You know
It
what I
looked
mean?
like a Puff video. It looked like a Puff video.
Right, he was
Yeah.
killing it. You
I
know what I
thought I
mean?
thought Puff directed that joint. You know what I'm saying? That's what it looked like.
Right. And I
Yeah.
think with that, I think that kind of put Jay in a very tough spot. But then you
Hmm.
got the Annie record. The Annie record, and you put in
Yeah.
Beans, you put that Philly movement all in the middle of that. And now Jay is like, he's gone.
Yeah.
It's a wrap. He was gone
Hmm.
and he never came back after that. Facts.
Okay.
Facts, Kyrie.
Got you.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. But I'm trying to tell you, so then boom, you get to, Eminem, right? Now I'm like Eminem as far as his personal music, wasn't really feeling a lot of it, right? But I can't deny that he can't rap. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he definitely can rap. It's just like yo, like I just his music, right? You know what I'm saying? Like I couldn't really feel it. But here's the thing though. What made me appreciate him was when he got on other people's track. And then that's when I
Yeah.
was like, yo, this boy really can go. Cause like his music, it was hard for me to get through some of his music sometimes. Like I can't feel it. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he might be even with Stan, I'm like he was saying some serious shit. That was a real situation. But it's like I still couldn't feel the music. I couldn't vibe to it. But then he gets on other people remixes. Then it's just like, oh, wait a minute. This boy good going in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's when I had to
Yeah.
give him respect right there. I had to give him
I
his
agree.
respect right there.
Let me ask you this. Were there any surprises for you? And what I mean by that, I didn't see Kanye on here as much as I thought I would.
I'm
Because
kind of surprised.
I thought there was a period where Kanye, honestly, you could have probably gave him 2 or 3 years in a row, where he was really like killing it. You know what I mean? Um, Kanye kind of gave
Yeah,
birth to the Drakes. You know what I
yeah,
mean? The Cuddies. I mean,
yeah,
I I just thought that there was some. But then again, now that I'm thinking about it, 50 Cent came out in '03 as well.
yeah.
You
And
know what I mean?
that's right under Eminem and Dre and
Right,
all of that. You know what I'm saying? And then
right.
you know what I'm saying, for the South came and they had T.I. and Jeezy.
T.I. and
You
Jeezy.
know what I mean? With some real hard projects, which I love. Lil Wayne was
Yeah,
also in that mix with that Carter stuff. You know what I mean? Shout out to Gilly. You know what I mean? Shout out to
yeah,
Gilly.
yeah.
And you
You
know
gotta
what
shout
happened
Gilly
there?
out, man.
Gotta
Gotta shout
shout
out
Gilly
Gilly,
when you're
man.
thinking about that Carter stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
But Kanye, I think when he came, particularly in '07, that's Can't Tell Me Nothing. That's all
right,
stronger. That's all those records. And to be honest, that's where the Drakes and people, you know what I mean, for real, of that kind of fold, right? They started getting into it. Where it's like, wait a
right,
minute, it's a lane for us too. You know what I'm saying? And then once they seen it was a lane for them that we can do different type of rap, you know what I mean, and it still be strong though. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And it's like, oh man, wait a minute. You know what I'm saying? So '07 really Kanye, I thought really that was Kanye, right at his best right there. I love that version because every record he was putting out was nice, flashing lights. No, come on. I mean, I liked all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm just
Right.
like, man, Kanye coming with some shit. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. We got a question. Who is 2004, 2005?
the South.
2004 was, I think
That
that
was
was
that was
T.I. and then Jeezy.
Ti, right? Then Jeezy.
Yeah,
And then Lil
T.I.
Wayne
was
came right after that.
2004. And that's rightfully so. 2004, 2005, Jeezy. I mean, you could 2005 to me was up in the air because you also could have go with the game. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
The
yeah.
game was
Game was strong.
2005.
He
I
was
know a lot of
strong.
people like the game. I know a lot of people don't like the game at all. But I was in San Diego when the game had dropped, and I remember being in a club in San Diego. And when that joint came on, any game music song that came on, like How We Do came on, that
Hmm.
shit was like banging. Everybody in the club was going crazy. And game, to me, the game had one of those moments that I don't think no one saw coming because he was riding that that G Unit wave as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He had that G Unit wave. He had all of that 50 drama behind, at the same time. You got
Right.
Dr. Dre backing you up. You got the
Hmm.
everything was just meshing the right way. So you could have go either way, but you can't be mad at Jeezy because Jeezy came out.
Yeah. He came out
Whoo,
killing it.
he
Yeah.
came out. I didn't
Yeah.
see Ross. Did you see Ross on the list?
Who's
I
that?
remember seeing Ross on the list, man. Ross,
No, but you know what though? I'm gonna say like this, man. Here's the thing with Ross, right? I didn't see. I don't know if he's on the list, but I'm gonna tell you when. And Ross always had dope music to me, so don't get me wrong. I liked them back with Hustling when that first came out. Then they had the remix with Jay Z and Jeezy on it. You know what I mean? So I love that. But let me tell you that when he came with that Dice Pineapples record, Lord,
yeah,
that was such a great record. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? I'm like, man, it was such a great record because I'm like, yo, seriously, like, I don't care what you was riding in, right? If you had a haircut and your car was clean that day and you're playing Dice Pineapples, I'm trying to tell you, you gonna feel like you was gonna feel like the man. I know I was. Yeah, I mean, shoot, lady cop pulled me over. I'm already thinking I'm getting out this ticket. I got the Dice Pineapples on. I ain't
Absolutely.
getting no ticket today. you
That
know,
right, right.
yeah,
You
you know
put
what I'm
money
saying?
down.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
like I'm like, man, but everybody has their run. And then he came, y'all mean for the Big Meech Larry Hoover record. Jeez, oh my,
right. It's
yo,
and I'm looking at the list. I don't see Ross
insane.
on anything. Like he's not on any of these joints. But again, like I said, here's a crazy thing that happened to Ross, and I it's not his fault. It's just that Ross came out in the middle of a lot of like a wave where his voice wasn't strong enough. He was solid, he was consistent, but
Hmm.
are you really going to put Ross over Drake during that time? Are you going to put Ross over Lil Wayne during that time? You, it's
I'm,
hard.
I'm
It's
gonna say
very
like this,
difficult. Or even Nicki
early,
Minaj.
early. I couldn't do it. I couldn't give it to Ross early. I'm saying, but Dice Pineapples, Big Meech Larry Hoover. I got it.
Yeah,
I got to go with him for that. For that year. I got to. You know what I'm
those
saying? And it was
right. Those are
it was
major.
some strong artists. I mean, Drake, Drake's on the Dice Pineapples record, so we know it's a great record. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
He's on the record. You know what I mean?
right,
I'm like, man, and Nicki was in her bag. You know what I mean?
bro.
For right about then, Drake was coming with. Yeah, I mean, Drake was on everybody's record.
It's on
So like,
everybody's
I
record.
get it. I kind of get. Yeah, I mean, for like where it's like, yo, we gonna give it to Drake, especially if you're running in 2010. Kanye still going strong and
Right,
everything like that. I can understand why you could go that way, but you know what
right.
though? If somebody told me,
He's
Mark, I'm going with Ross, I ain't gonna argue against them. No, I
right,
will not.
but Mark, here's the list. This was 2012. They gave it to Drake, but they
Okay.
got Ross, Kendrick Lamar, and Two Chains as honorable mention.
Yeah.
Don't forget, that's hard because
Yeah, that's
2012,
rough. Woo,
I can get
woo.
2012 the Two Chains. Chains was on everything.
Yeah, yeah,
Chains
yeah.
on Chains were killing every feature. So
Yeah,
you put Ross in the middle of all of that.
yeah,
That's tough. And again, I thought Ross had some of the better albums. I think Ross is underrated. But
yeah.
2012, I'm not mad. They gave it to Drake. But you got two
I can't be
chains in
mad
there
at you.
too. You can't
I'm
be
like,
mad at it.
I'm like that. That was heavy. That was heavy
That was
because
heavy. That was heavy.
it was a lot of good music that came right out. That came right
Right.
out in that time.
And,
There was a lot of good music with that.
and Mark, even 2011, they gave Rick Ross honorable mention, but they gave it to Drake again, right, in 2011. But he was going up against Jay-Z, Kanye West as honorable mentions.
I'm like, man,
Who's
but
the
I mean, you gotta understand that when Drake, yeah, I mean, even in 11, you're talking that all that Young Money stuff. I'm like, and they
right?
was dropping records all day long. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
It
Like, yeah,
was
like it wasn't just even be Drake on a record, it'd be Drake. Yeah, I mean, you got a verse from Wheezy, you got a verse
Weezy.
from Nick, you got,
You
yeah, I
had
mean,
Nicki on there.
you got that whole crew dropping
Yeah.
records.
You,
I'm like, yo, it was
right.
insane.
It's
Like, man,
insane.
Young Money had a nice, they had a hell of a run. You know what I
Had a
mean?
hell of a run. Hell of a
Yeah,
run. That was music was really good during that time. So I
yeah. I
cannot be
think that.
mad at that list. I think the list was dope. Complex did an awesome job with that list. I've seen
Mhm.
a lot of crazy, crazy, crazy lists. This is one of the dope lists that I've seen. It's
Yeah,
as accurate as you can possibly get. Um, I'm not an Eminem fan, but I can respect the fact that what he got on that list, he got on that list. So
yeah,
I do think that I think it was a good list, man. Good
yeah.
list.
And even when you run it up to now, I'm just like, man, with the baby and Lil Baby, I'm like, they
Right.
earned those spots, man. You know what I mean? And they had heavy competition. But I thought that they
Definitely.
earned those spots from what they were able to put out.
Yeah.
Um, I'm just like, man, shout the Complex, man, because I'm like, I've read some greatest of all time stuff from them before, and after the first like maybe couple paragraphs, I just throw it away.
Right.
I
Right.
it's
Right.
just
Right.
raw, but
Right.
they did a great job,
They
with
did a
this. I'm
great
like,
job
they
on this.
really whoever wrote this, and it's probably more than one, more multiple people, who had
Absolutely.
involvement with this, but they really thought it out.
They
Kudos to
did.
Complex, man, for this, man,
They
because
did.
a lot of it was right, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you, a lot of it, even the stuff that you might not agree with, it's not like you disagree badly. It's more like,
Right.
yeah, you know what? I can see why they went that way.
Right.
That's how
You
crazy
can
that is.
you can respect it. You can respect it.
Absolutely,
But
absolutely.
yeah, man, yo, good show tonight, man. We got into a
No,
lot
no
of
doubt.
stuff. We talked a lot of football. We talked a lot of hip hop. There's a lot of stuff that's coming out, man. I mean, yo, we could have gone into different topics, man, but we wanted to go
Yeah,
to the ones that we felt that was worthy of conversation tonight. So I appreciate you, homie. Shout out to Zingo TV Black Jet Channel 199. Shout out to My High Radio. Shout out to the guys. Shout out to everyone who was watching tonight. Kyrie, my man Stacks, Becca, Tina, my Wiz. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to Mark. Shout out to my mom's Black Neon back in '98. I used to pump in that
no
joint.
doubt.
And shout out to that
Straight
Black
up.
Neon,
X
wherever you
live.
are.
X live
Wherever
forever.
you are.
X live
Yeah, no
forever.
doubt.
There you go.
Wherever you are, shout out to you, Black Neon. But man, what am I missing? Tomorrow night we got the Merv and Stat Show featuring Marc and Tina B. I think those guys are gonna have a good show playing. I think what are they doing tomorrow night? Yo, peace, Kyrie. Thanks for watching tonight,
All right.
homie. Tina, what y'all doing tomorrow night? What's y'all? I
Yeah.
think y'all doing
They got a movie. They got another movie coming up. You know how
another
they get their
movie.
bag. They getting their bag with these movies
They're
now.
getting into that movie bag.
Yeah,
So
no
be
doubt.
watching out for that. We got some promos coming out on that, and we coming back on Wednesday night with part two. If you watch our show last week, we had a part one was the beginning of a relationship. There it is. They're doing the little things tomorrow
Okay.
night. So please tune in to them tomorrow night to watch the little things review. They're going to get into a bag on there, and then we are back on Wednesday night for part two of our three-part series of the relationship. Last week we talked about the beginning of the relationship, the courting process, when you make it official. On Wednesday night we're going to talk about the toxic relationships when you pull out, And do you keep going? All that good stuff. So we got some great
Mm-hmm.
things we're going to talk about on Tuesday night, with the little things going to kick us off, for tomorrow night. And then on Wednesday night, we're going to close the week out with our big boy, big girl talk on relationships and things of that nature. So again, Marc, I appreciate you, homie. Great show tonight. Shout out to everybody who's watching. Again, once again, we love it. Thank you so much for tuning in with us tonight and for the comments and all that good stuff. Until Tuesday, see y'all then. All right.
Peace.
Peace.